Hello, I'm Fred Davies with The Wholesome Life, and today we're going to talk about the auditory system. I know we all want to have great hearing, and as we age, often our hearing is damaged. My hearing was damaged as a child, so it was wonderful to rebuild it completely so that I had full hearing able to use for the rest of my life, and that was actually pretty recently. So the auditory system is made up of a lot of wonderful, beautiful little parts. We don't need to know about every one of those parts for your body and its perfect knowledge to take care of and rebuild your auditory system. All you need to know is what part of the system is affected and whether that part of the system is getting all the materials it needs so that your body can rebuild it. And of course, if it's the right priority for rebuilding right now. So as with everything else, we start with testing to make sure that the auditory system is actually online. So you'll remember muscle testing and how to do that perhaps. I know that was many weeks ago, but just using your muscle testing, ask, my auditory system is online. And if you get a positive or a yes response for that, your auditory system's online and it's working properly for that. If it's offline, recall that you can reset it, but first I check for blocks. There are blocks in my auditory system, or there are hidden blocks in my auditory system. And once you've checked for blocks, you can clear those blocks simply with your clearing all the blocks from my auditory system, or clearing the hidden blocks from my auditory system, and with how many ever times it takes. And then I always muscle test, all blocks are cleared, and you get a yes with that, and then you know that the blocks have been cleared. You've cleared the blocks. If it needed reset, you've resetting my auditory system. My auditory system is now online. Once you know that all of that is online, the blocks or emotions are cleared. You don't have any inherited blocks or emotions in there. We should have cleared those when you first started the program, but there may be others hiding, especially hidden ones. I always do that first because we have to make sure there's power on in each system before we can actually work on it or rebuild it. Then, understanding whether the damage is structural, nerve damage, is the next piece. So if it's nerve damage, Dr. Christopher's program has a very effective method of rebuilding nerve damage. This is on a foundation of wonderful nutrition, remember, as always. And to rebuild nerve damage, we do basically three parts. First, every evening, well, test for it. I have nerve damage, or I have structural damage in my inner ear, and find out what it is. If it's nerve damage, then we can rebuild it with Dr. Christopher's products. Dr. Christopher's ear and nerve formula is just very powerful for rebuilding nerve damage. And the ear and nerve formula is the second piece of this. First, we put a couple of drops of the oil of garlic formula in the ear each evening, and then follow that with a couple of drops of the ear and nerve formula. All I do is tip my head sideways, and you can actually feel the drops as they're going in. So squeeze a few drops out, put a few drops in the ear, and then the garlic formula first, 2 to 3 drops, ear and nerve formula next, 2 to 3 drops, and then a small cotton ball to keep it from running back out again. Stay sitting upright for at least 5 minutes before you lay down to go to bed, and then it should have settled in there. Remember, 6 days on and 1 day off. On the 7th day or on the morning of the next week, rinse your ears with equal parts of apple cider vinegar and distilled water. It just takes a small syringe, the same kind of dropper that you've been using for the ear and nerve formula. If you've got an extra one, just fill it full of half distilled water and half apple cider vinegar and rinse the ear out once a week to make sure it doesn't have a buildup of wax and oils and stuff in the ear. Continue for your 6 weeks, take a week off, and then muscle test again. My ears need another cycle of rebuild, and you can do that and it'll work fine. Now, if it is structural damage is also very repairable, and you can just test for what is needed. Do I need complete tissue and bone for the structural damage? Do I need herbal calcium for the structural damage? Herbal calcium and complete tissue and bone are the two primary materials needed to repair structural damage. And you can test to see if you need it externally, which it's available in ointments, massage oil, and also in what's called BF&C, cut and powder bulk. I would only use the cut bulk for external. The powder bulk could be taken for internal. What does BF&C stand for? Bone, flesh, and cartilage is the old name of the formula, and for the bulk it's still being used as that name, bone, flesh, and cartilage. I have rebuilt so many wonderful things that it also works on the ear, structural parts. For internal, it comes in capsules, in syrup, and then you can use the BF&C powder, as I mentioned before. The calcium comes in a calcium tea that you can make as a decoction. It also comes in a bulk powder, which I'll show on the next slide. But the calcium comes in an extract or in capsules for internal also. Now, all the bulks come in bags that are mylar bags and are in 16 ounce. The calcium tea comes in the powder, as I mentioned. It comes in a bulk cut, which if you want to do that, I drink the calcium tea every single day because our diet doesn't have enough calcium in it anymore, and it's required pretty much for all of us just to try and keep up with the calcium needs of a daily rebuild. That's our primary acid-alkaline balance, but it's also needed for almost every rebuild. The bone, flesh, and cartilage comes in powder and also in cut. Powder, you can just stir it in water or put it in capsules. For the BF&C, bone, flesh, and cartilage cut, you can actually use it as a soak. You'd simmer it for 20 minutes, make a very strong decoction, and then filter out the herb, and then you can put a cloth soaking on the outside if it's, for example, maybe cartilage damage or lots of damage to the structure on that side of your head, and doing that daily for 20 minutes, keeping it warm so it soaks in faster, and that will work very well. I know the ears rebuild, mine have, so your auditory system can rebuild with consistency and with just taking care of your auditory system. And thank you. The Wholesome Life loves helping you rebuild your systems.